Hey everyone, I just wanted to give an update. I think the last I gave one was like about 2 weeks ago, and I was explaining my situation about how I lost my job, and from that time on, I've been looking for another one, and I see a lot of you know job applications that ask if you have reliable transportation, and although I do, I can't drive. So I have to state in like a lot of these applications that, yeah, I have reliable transportation, but then I will tell them about my medical situation and then I can't drive for 3 months until they can root out what's going on inside me. So from the time that I had left the hospital, I have applied for different jobs. You know, I had to cancel one job because I couldn't get there. I don't have a ride to any place, and you know dealing with buses, especially when it's as cold as it is, it makes it really inconvenient. And so I really have no one that would take me. So I feel like my hands are tied in every situation. It sucks because I have a car, I can easily get to a job, but I have this medical restriction that I can't drive. And so it's hard because I'm applying for all these jobs. I'm trying to do everything I can in my own strength. And I feel completely useless. I don't want to say hopeless, but I feel completely useless. And I know it's not about feelings or anything like that, but I mean, what does a man do when he doesn't have a car to get around? He's looking for work, and literally I have no money whatsoever. And I received like government assistance for food, and I was supposed to receive some today that would hopefully carry me until I can get another job, but it didn't come in today. So I literally only have a little bit of cereal left. I have some oatmeal. I have one hot pocket. I usually eat hot pockets at night because I don't have the money to get stuff. So I literally have nothing. And God has carried me through up until this point. But my full dependence is on Him. I have no crutches. I don't have anyone. And every situation that comes up, I have to learn to rely on Him and try to listen to Him. And rent was due today, and the the people that I've been with have been so gracious. I mean, I don't know what's going to come of it. I'm praying that God's provision comes so I could pay this month's rent and hopefully next month. But then I had worked on my taxes, and I don't know nothing about that stuff. And I was using the Jackson Hewitt online, putting my W-2s through. And, I it's kind of disappointing because it doesn't look like I'm going to get the earned income credit. And it doesn't look like I'm going to be getting much. So God had told me like last week that don't depend on unemployment and don't depend on taxes. You depend on me. So in every area, I have nothing. And I don't want to say that I'm forced into relying on Him, but I have no choice. You know, what does a man do when the very things that he depends on is taken away from him and he's left with nothing? And this is my situation. all I can do is look to him. Each day has, enough trouble of its own, like Jesus had said. And I think we can tend to worry about future stuff. And we do that without, putting God into the equation. So every day I'm just looking to see what God will do. When I was working that job, I would find myself limping, you know, getting out of the car, driving good distances, delivering. But since I haven't been driving as much, I'm not limping anymore. I don't have that issues like I did with the whole sciatica. And, God had told me that more or less that job was tyranny. So all I'm doing now is putting these applications through. I got to be honest about where I'm standing regarding my medical issue, and hoping by faith that God is going to open the door that he wants me to be at with a job. And I'm looking to him for his provision because, from a man's standpoint, if a guy was in my place, he would have no hope. He would have nothing to look forward to. He would be like, I'm in trouble. But my hope is in God. God has come through so many times in the past for me. So many countless times he had come through for me. And I know he will again, but it's the hardest thing that when we first face a negative circumstance, we react from a human standpoint. And, I have done that. I do that. But then I have to stop myself and remember what God had done so that I can give myself faith. And God had told me, he says, you're going to have to fight for faith. And it seems like that is really true because it's my perception, it's my feelings, but it feels like darkness has surrounded me. It feels hopeless. And I know that this period of time in my life, it will not always be. This is just a trial that God will get me through. And I know in the future, God will work everything out. So I'm just looking to him in this time, keeping my eyes open to the goodness that he shows me. And, that's all I can do. I have to rely on him so that I can give hope to others. And so I just wanted to give this update. And I will keep you informed about everything that will go on. I know that this is just going to be one of those examples that God will work out and his glory will be shown. And that's what I want. More than anything, I want to give people hope that God can come through for them in the hardest of circumstances. And for me, it has been really hard. Even before my mother had passed on, it had been hard. And it has only gotten increasingly difficult. But it's difficult according to the flesh. If it's difficult, it means that God is pointing out areas in my life in which I'm trying to take control of the situations. So I'm going to give you an update as things progress and, just show what God can do. But through it all, God is good. No matter what, God is good. And our lives on earth are only temporal. What really matters is being up there with him for all eternity. So I want to make sure that I'm making the right decisions. I'm acting right. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do so that I won't have any regrets, in the future or one day when I get to heaven, So thank you for taking the time to watch.